a huge crowd. Thanks so much. You're going to learn about something that I love, which is rocks, fossils, etc. I went to school to study rocks, and I did. I enjoyed that, and I ended up doing that for a little while as a career. And I will show you, along the way, I collected quite a number of things, and this isn't everything, I just took a smattering of things, and what I will do is I will show everybody this stuff. I'll send some stuff around bit by bit, and if a quick question, and then we'll hold off on questions.
What's that big rock called?
This one? This is called a geode, and I'll tell you about that in a little bit. So we're just going to hold questions for a few minutes, and then we'll go from there. So, number one, I love collecting things. Does anybody else have a collection at home? Yeah.
I have a wine collection, a Pokemon collection, a rock collection, I think a stamp collection, and a postcard collection.
Awesome. You?
I have a Star Wars card collection.
Excellent.
Football card collection.
Football card collection? Yeah.
Seashells.
Seashells? Yeah. And you had your hand up?
Android collecting.
Excellent. Excellent. And way in the back there?
Pokemon cards.
Pokemon?
Legos and rocks.
Excellent, excellent. So I appreciate everybody. It sounds like everybody has a collection of something somewhere, and we all enjoy that. And this is something that I enjoy collecting. And so what we're going to do, first off, we're going to do kind of three parts here. First, I'm going to show you a little bit about what a geologist does. Then we're going to go through and talk about some of these rocks and fossils that I have here. And finally, we're going to do a quick craft that I'll talk about at the end there, just so you have something that's kind of cool when you walk home and you can show mom and dad. And I've done it a few times and everybody seems to enjoy it. So, first off, I need 2 volunteers. You had your hand up first, but you. All right? Now, forgot one other thing. In geology, there's all different kinds of geologists. Just like there are all different kinds of doctors and things like that. So in geology, I went and studied something called paleontology. Does anybody know what paleontology is?
Yeah. Isn't it the finding of dinosaurs?
Yeah. Dinosaurs, fossils, and of course there's even smaller subsets. So that's something I really enjoyed. I enjoyed rocks, but I especially like fossils and dinosaurs. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you 2 different types of geologists. There's a structural geologist and a paleontologist. So who wants to be the paleontologist? Should beat you to the punch. So you're going to be our paleontologist. You're going to be our structural geologist. Now, when I went off after college and worked in the geology field, I was a structural geologist because hunting dinosaurs doesn't pay as much. And that's okay. It's something I still love. So we will start. What a structural geologist is going to look like. And you were the structural geologist? Okay. First and foremost, who knows what this is?
Hard hat.
Hard hat. Exactly. So we're going to put this on your head. I did clean it, so there's no previews or anything. Next. When you work with, a structural geologist does a lot of work with construction, building roads, checking areas for buildings and things like that. So your safety is a very important thing. A lot of times you're on a road or you're at a construction site where there's machinery, and so you have to put something like this on. Okay, why would you wear this? Anybody know? Yeah.
So like cars that are passing by that someone's working.
Yeah, it's very bright so you can see somebody so they don't get run over. Very important.
It's also very reflective, so when you're working at night,
Yes. I'm not going to, maybe I will make it work. What are these?
glasses.
Yeah.
Safety glasses.
Safety glasses. Why would you need safety glasses?
Because like let's say you're drilling and some like dirt gets into your eyes, it can really hurt. So you want to wear it just like when my dad works in the basement, he puts on his safety goggles while he like uses the saw or
Yep.
like machine.
To protect your eyes. Absolutely.
Yeah, so
Now, let me see. see what else we got in these things. You may not know what this is. You got an idea? One quick. Yeah. I'll pick you.
Is it like some making smooth?
Almost. It's got a wheel. It's a measuring tape. And so you roll this along the ground, and you can measure a long way with it very easily. I'll let you hold on to that. Geologists working in construction sites have to check things like soils and other types of rocks. So you're going to have things like hammers, trowels. Sorry, I'm getting a lot of stuff here, but that's...
What about the belt?
Well, you might have a belt to put that stuff on. Another very important thing, a marker. We'll just put that right there.
And he can put this under his like armpit.
Yep. Sample bags. I used to take a lot of samples because you'd send it into a laboratory for different things. And stick these right here. Oh. We'll need
Steve's water. A book.
What do you think you put in here? It's a journal, exactly. So you see I have like measurements of different types of rocks and wells that I might do. It's got all different stuff, figures and whatnot. Got a pocket. I'll tell you, we're getting pretty full, so we'll just put that right there for now. And then one of the last things you need, and there are other things that you might need. Yeah?
Like if you're wearing the glasses and like you don't have them on, like if you get dust in your eye, you could like hurt yourself with the tool because you're trying to get off.
Absolutely, yeah. You wouldn't be able to see very well. And so also, a lot of things you do in construction. Does anybody know what this might be?
Signing contracts. Blueprint.
Well, it's part of a contract. It's upside down. It's a blueprint. And so it shows different places where things might need to be tested, or an outline of a building, and you have to go along that area to see what's there. And so you would carry this along with you. And one other thing that I use quite often, well, two other things, is a map. This is called a soils map. And all these little letters equal a different type of soil. And this happens to be part of Mattapoisett. And so I can look up, and this is usually part of a big book, I can look up what each one of these things mean. It's a certain type of soil. And they have gone all over our country testing different soils. And so a lot of the stuff you can just reference and find. And so, and of course, a clipboard to put all this stuff. So this is a lot of stuff. What else would I want to use to help me take all this stuff around?
Backpack.
A backpack. And of course, also, because I don't do this currently, something else that really is helpful today would be something like a smartphone, a small laptop or computer. Because all this stuff, again, is on the internet and things like that. So I'm going to let you stand there for a few minutes. Oh, I'm sorry. One last thing. We might even need to put this on. A gas mask. Why would somebody need this? Yeah?
Because sometimes in the materials they use, there might be poisonous gases.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Want to try this on real quick? No? Okay. Well, these are not the most comfortable things. Yeah, we won't do this right now because we'll perhaps at the end if we have time to do that. These aren't the most comfortable, but they're very important because safety is a crucial thing. We want to stay safe.
There are also a lot of things you use in some mixes and stuff that could have toxic chemicals, and I don't know about gases.
Well, sometimes they give off gases.
Yeah.
Josh, so can we give Josh a quick hand? Caroline. All right, Caroline. Caroline's going to be our paleontologist. So this is the stuff I really enjoy doing. And we're going to start off with a vest you might wear. Now, a lot of times when you're doing paleontology, you're out in the middle of nowhere. You're in a desert, you're in a forest. So sometimes you might need to wear a vest like this if you're on a road. But a lot of times you'd wear something more like this. It's just got a lot of pockets, you put stuff in, and it looks cool. Now, she She will also need safety glasses. Very important. Lots of the time, I'm not going to put this on, I promise. We go to places where it's buggy. So you might need a bug net, which would go on your head like this, and it keeps the mosquitoes out. Yep,
It's kind of bigger.
a little bit, but it's supposed to. That gives you some breathing room.
Well, it's not bad, bigger than you are, and like
So, has anybody ever seen one of these before? What
yeah.
is it?
It's like a whistle.
It's not a whistle.
It's
Yep.
a magnifying.
It's a magnifying glass. We call it a hand lens. But it's for checking out something, if you want to look just quickly at something close, it's about I think it's a 10 times power. So it gives you a little bit more, but it can tell you an awful lot about a rock. And it has a nice cover in it to keep it safe. So we're going to put that around your neck. Just like what Josh has, but not necessarily as important because we don't need to measure things that long. You might need a measuring tape. So we're going to put that in one of your pockets.
Yeah, secret pockets. Much easier.
Rope. Sometimes you need a piece of rope if you want to go down. Yeah, if you need to step down somewhere. Put that there. Gloves. Why would you need gloves? Yep.
Because maybe there's a really sharp rock and you don't want to touch it.
Yeah.
You can use.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely. You don't have to go on. And let's see what else we got here. This is a geology pick.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And this is a hand pick or a hand hammer. And again, pointy, so you can kind of pick through bits and pieces of rock to see things, whack things, makes you look cool.
Yeah, it's a little dangerous.
This is a little chisel that sometimes you might need for a larger rock if you want to break it in half. And also, of course, brushing off some sand or dirt. Sometimes you need a...
rocks,
Yeah. And of course, sometimes you need a backpack. But also, like Josh, where I was using different types of construction papers, you might use something more like this. And they also have one that's very colorful that shows different types of rocks. But this is a quadrangle. And again, all this stuff is on the internet now, so it kind of shows you how old I am. But this shows you all the different types of inclines and where you might be so that you can both locate maybe a place where you find a fossil or know there's fossils up here and so you can go there. And these are the roads and these are the mountains. This happens to be in Byington, Ohio. I've actually been there. Yep, I lived there for a little while. So, and the two other things, a couple other things you might need, sorry it takes so long. This is a little magnet. Sometimes you need a magnet to test if a rock has a magnetic property or is like an iron ore or something like that. And just again, like Josh, a little field book to record some of your stuff. So put that there. And then last but not least, you also need an awesome hat.
Yeah.
So, you need something like that. No, you don't use that. You use a cooler hat like this.
What does this dog take that
Yeah, come on, can you guys come over here so we're ready to take a picture? Sorry, just stand. Maybe later, how about that? So this is kind of what I've dressed up as, and I'm probably missing a few things, but this is essentially what it is.
I want to wear all that.
All right, so can we give Caroline and Josh a big round of applause? both so much. So that's kind of the stuff you can do when you're grown up if you choose to go around and do this stuff. And there are so many other things you can do. Now, obviously, these are some of the rocks that I have, and I've collected them a lot of different parts of the country. And yes?
I think I have 2 meters.
Excellent, excellent. Those are very cool. So, but how did I start liking rocks and fossils? Well, I'm going to tell you. I got this book for probably Christmas. Yep, December 25th, 1977. Are any of you born in 1977?
No.
That's my name, James Pearson, 46 Mohawk Drive. And so in this book, and unfortunately this book is kind of old, so some of the information is now out of date. I had lots of cool pictures, and I used to spend hours instead of playing PlayStation or Pokemon. I was looking at rocks and, no, they didn't have time to PlayStation. Looking at this stuff. So this got me going. And I grew up in Massachusetts, as you all are. And unfortunately, there aren't a lot of dinosaur things in Massachusetts. Does anybody know one of the main dinosaur things we have in Massachusetts? So in fact, it's the state fossil. Yes?
Isn't it
Yeah.
dinosaur tracks?
Yes, absolutely. And in fact, Massachusetts is very famous for dinosaur tracks. Out in the Connecticut River Valley, which is out kind of near Springfield, the western part of the state, there's still quite a few that you can see. Many of them, unfortunately, have been sold, but I would also bet that the museum here has a collection with some of them in. Yes?
I went there, and there's like this little hiking trail, and then you go into this rock, and then there's just like a bunch of old dinosaur tracks like printed in the rock.
Excellent,
It's
excellent.
really cool. Like,
Yeah, it's very cool. And in fact, the native, it was a tribe out of New York State, had a story where those were actually created by a mosquito monster, a giant mosquito monster, because they didn't know obviously that they were dinosaurs. And that's a story that they told. Of course, today we know that they are made by dinosaurs. But kind of neat that even 500 years ago, people were talking about these dinosaur footprints. So after that, and I got a little bit older. This is probably from my 5th or 6th grade time. I got this little geology book. And the funniest part about it is, and it gives all different things, like the types of rocks and formations. When I was in college, they actually made us buy this. Now that's in college, this little book, because it gives so much good information in a very small spot. And I thought that was kind of neat. And I already had it, so I saved $1.97. So, anyway, if you hold your question until later, would that be okay? Is that all right? Great. So, where do we start? Well, who knows how fossils are created? Anybody got a quick answer? You had your hand.
Like, they decay over time, so like, and they're, like, the pressure kind of like, puts the sand in them, like, and combines them.
Yes, very close. And so there's a few different ways fossils are made, and I'll just explain it so we don't run out of time here. One of the main ways is where the animal, or pretty much an animal dies and is buried in sand or some type of a very porous material.
Or mud.
And mud, yep. And what will happen is the groundwater, which is water inside the ground, contains minerals. And those minerals, bit by bit, as the animal decays, will replace the cell structure of the animal. And then over time, pressure sometimes pushes it down or changes its look a little bit. But what you end up with is basically a cast, a filled-in cast of what the animal looked like. There is absolutely no material from the original animal in this. This is all rock. But it filled in where the animal was originally, all the cells and the little pieces. So, I'm going to quickly go through the fossils, and we'll kind of talk about the rocks, and then we'll kind of pass some stuff around.
That's a trilobite, which you just showed us.
Yes, it is a trilobite, correct. So, I'm going to start with, it's not my favorite rock, but I've decided it's one of my favorite rocks. And it's kind of boring. I I'm going to pass this one around in a second. This one, and when you see it, you'll see there's some little wavy lines in it. This is actually the oldest fossil that I have. And this is one of the first, what's called a multi-celled animal on our planet. And this is called a stromatolite. And they're still alive today, actually, not the same ones, but they have a lot of them in Australia and a few other places. They grow in shallow water, and they kind of look like a big mushroom, and they're just masses of sort of like goo that kind of grows together, almost like a coral. But this is probably, and I don't remember exactly how old it is, but it's probably 400 million years old, something like that, maybe longer. So I'm going to pass this around and just try to, take a quick look at it and just know that that is something, that's one of the first major animals that's ever lived on our planet. Does anybody know how old we believe our planet is?
About 3 million, maybe 5.
Something, yeah.
64 billion years, I got.
Well, we're kind of between the two of those. Scientists now today believe that the Earth is about 4.67 billion years old. So 4 2/3 billion years old. That's a long time. And if you're looking at this rock here, which is, again, one of the oldest fossils we will have, it's only 400 million years old. So there's over 4 billion years of history before that fossil. So, all right? And I'll take questions at the end, so we can get through stuff. So we're going to move on. So the first places animals started to grow in our society, in our world, are in the water. And if so you know that that's a marine fossil. Other ones that I have here, I'm not going to go through all of them, but you pointed out a trilobite. Has everybody heard of a trilobite? No? Okay.
Yes.
So a trilobite is a creature that lived on the floor of the ocean. And sometimes they lived in deep water or shallow water. And what the trilobite means 3, tri. Has everybody heard tri before? Like tri-town? Means 3, triangle. Lobite means lobe. So what happens is there's 3 lobes in a trilobite.
You mean like kind of like a loaf of bread? So that
No, that'd be a
used to
loaf.
be a creature?
A lobe is sort of like a bubble, maybe.
So that used to be a creature?
Yes. And this is actually related to, very loosely related to, a horseshoe crab.
Yeah.
So they're kind of, you can imagine what a horseshoe crab looks like. You can imagine what this guy had. He had a gyro, had little feet coming off and would go around. This is called a flexicalamin. It's the scientific name. And what will happen with flexicalamin, flex means it will curl up, it's flexible, into a ball. So we find a lot of them, in fact, curled up almost like the size of a baseball. And that protects it. I think you were saying it looks a little bit like a roly-poly. And it does. They're not related.
Basically an underwater on the top.
Exactly. So this is about 300 million years old. So we go in 100 million years from that stromatolite, wherever it is, to a trilobite. So in 100 million years, we went from goo to somebody running around on the floor of the ocean. Kind of cool.
Something, not somebody kill it.
I'll pass this one around, actually. And I know you get it first each time. But we'll... Other things that lived on the seafloor. Anybody know what that is? Yeah.
Snail?
Snail. It's called, scientifically, it's called a gastropod. And this is something that, I'm not sure where I found this, but I can look it up. I'll send that one that way.
Oh, I thought this was
They don't see us.
Mm-hmm. Other ones I have here, these are called horn coral. And they almost look like teeth, right? This one I like, one of my favorites, because it's a baby one on top of it.
Oh, yeah.
And so these grow on the floor of the ocean, just like that, and we actually still have them today. And they have tentacles that kind of come up and wait for things to flow through.
Can eat them?
And eat them, yeah. And suck them down.
I can't believe something that small.
Pass that one around there. Other things we have.
Number on it.
I'll tell you about that in just a second, remind you. Again, more gastropods. We have, this is one of my favorite ones. This is an ammonoid.
Is it like all together? Is it oh yeah,
Well, I let it fall apart so you can see that it actually comes apart like a jigsaw puzzle. These actually, not this exact same species, but we still have nautilus around and they're still living.
Yeah.
You may have
I've
seen one
it in an
somewhere.
aquarium.
This is very similar. It's the same animal. Again, it's a couple 100 million years old and it would float around. It's like a squid. It would have squid stuff coming out this way.
I know they're chambered in that shell, and their cousins also had straight. So the animals living inside it were like tiny chambers in there, and it will keep growing until it outgrew all its tiny chambers until its eyes and tentacles stuck out the end.
Absolutely. So again, and some of this stuff isn't really super cool to look at, but I've always enjoyed it. And you can find it in different places. What else do we got here? This was actually one of the first fossils I found when I was in college. This is called an Inoceremus, and it's a type of clam. And you can still see, I'm not going to pass this one around, but if you see it later, there's some shiny mother of pearl coloring on it. And it's this sort of shiny, iridescent material. This is an abalone shell, and it's the same stuff. So what I'm going to show you in a minute is a lot of the stuff that was growing millions and millions and millions of years ago, there are relatives of today still living with us. And along those lines, something that I can show you now, this is a fan. It's called piña. It's a clam. Looks like a big fan, and the top of it's missing. But it would go out like that. A number of years ago, I was down in Florida, and I found this. Actually, there's more to it, but this is a piña clam. And if you put it like that, it actually fits, and you can see what it used to look like. This is 200 million years old. This is 20 years old. So it's the same creature that's still living today.
Are you going to pass that one?
Not that one, but I would pass a couple of other ones. Another one, I'll pass both of these together. This is, again, a gastropod. This is something that's current, that you can find on the beach, right? And here's another one that's fairly similar. Again, millions and millions of years old. This is probably 100 plus million years old, maybe longer. I can tell you at some point if you need to. So, is everybody getting to see the stuff? Is that moving around? Great.
We haven't gotten to see one of the things yet. It's the curly thing.
Curly thing.
Oh.
That's going around there. Okay, that's fine. And certainly at the end, everybody's welcome to come up and look. All I ask is, don't touch, or if you want to touch, ask me first. Some of them are more fragile than others. Right? A lot of times when you're walking around looking for stuff, you find this is a lot of material you find. This is called fossiliferous limestone. So the material is limestone. There's all sorts of fossils in it. This has bryozoans, corals, things like that. This again would grow at these animals were at the bottom of the ocean, and when they fall, they kind of compact on each other, and we find this stuff everywhere. Not around here, but places like Florida, the Midwest, and out west as well. So again, those are a lot of the fossils that I have that grew underwater. Now, I also have ones that were called terrestrial, or animals that lived on land. We have things like this guy. This is called, this is a knee joint. It goes like that. And these are bones from an animal called an eodont. And an eodont is sort of related to a deer or a horse. And these are about 40 million years old. And I found these out in South Dakota, along with other things. Those are bones, yeah. And so if you looked at a skeleton of yourself, you're going to see bones that look just like that. Now those are broken, so they don't look exactly like that. But again, this is the teeth from an eodont. And I'll pass these around if you guys are careful with these. These are the teeth that go along with that animal. And this is a tooth from, I'm not sure if it was a deer or a cow. I can't recall. I dug it up in my backyard. But it's recent. And you can see how they actually look very similar. Just just be careful because the one's a little fragile. What else we got here? One of my favorites. I'm not going to pass this around, but just take my word for it. This is a rock from a place called the Green River Formation in Utah. And this was a lake deposit, meaning in the lake you have very fine sediment. And you can't see it from the back, but trust me that it's there.
I can see it.
It's a mosquito.
Wait, what?
It is a mosquito, and if you look closely enough using one of the hand lenses, you can see you can see the little bits and pieces to it. And when we're all done, you guys can come around, and I'll be happy to show it to you. But I just happened to catch that. I was going to throw this rock away. And on the other side, I was looking for, there's a reed here. You know what reeds are that grow in like a swamp?
Yeah.
So that's on the back side. That's what I was looking for, and I just happened to turn it over, and there was the mosquito. Yep, kind of cool. Well, let's get on to a couple of other things. And I apologize, I left my really nice one at home on the table. But sometimes when you're going through, this is also part of the Green River Formation. And it's very thin rock that has a strata that you can whack it with a hammer. One of the ones that Caroline showed us. And when you open it up, you have a leaf. And this is just a little baby leaf. I don't know if everybody back there can see it. Can you all see it?
We have a similar one in this display.
It's a real leaf, and in fact, it still has material that you can scratch off that's part of the leaf, which I don't want to scratch it off, so
Jim, we have a similar one right over here too, if they want to take a look at it.
And so I was told that there's a beautiful selection over there with another leaf, and maybe at the end you can take a look. What else we have here? Well, let's start with that. Anybody know what that is? It's a tooth. This is a tooth from a mammal. What type of a mammal might have a big tooth like this that's now extinct? Thank you. Sorry, you beat everybody to the punch. Yes, this is, I apologize, this is not real, this is a replica. But that's a pretty big tooth for a saber-toothed tiger. Anybody have a cat here at home? Yeah. Well, imagine if your cat had a tooth like that. All right, so another land or terrestrial fossil, type of fossil that I have, petrified wood. And I'm going to pass these around. So petrified wood. Yeah, this is just a piece of wood that I picked up out of my yard. And this is a piece of petrified wood that I found down in Texas, actually not too long ago. And this, I'm not even sure how old this is because I haven't checked into it yet, but this is essentially in a swampy area, a tree will fall, and there's a lot of minerals and chemicals in the water, and it goes through and replaces all of the cells of the tree. But what you can do is you can see that it looks very similar. And so I'll pass those around. Same stuff, just millions of years difference. Yes? That's a rock. And then in some places, in swamps, when creatures died, they turned into coal. And so we mine this a lot in our country and other countries. And this is basically old stuff that lived in a swamp. And it burns now. It's like, all right. A couple last things for everybody to see. Shark tube. This is a, I'm not even sure the name of it. It's probably related to a great white, but it's not exactly that. And so you find these every now and then. I believe a typical size tooth for a great white is about this big, so you can imagine how big this guy was. So if this is from a 20-foot great white, this is probably 30. That's a big one. No. Well, this one is just plastic. This is a real tooth, yes. Now, so if this guy is, say 25 feet long. How long do you, how big do you think this guy is?
Now that's
Okay, let's just roll it down just a little bit. So, you're right, somebody said megalodon. This is a tooth from a megalodon. Does everybody know what a megalodon is? Okay, hold on a second so everybody can hear. Just hold your questions, guys. Hold your questions, guys. Does everybody know what a megalodon is?
Yeah.
Does anybody not know what a megalodon is?
Big shark.
Okay, a megalodon, yes, is a giant shark that they believe went extinct somewhere around 4 million years ago, which is, when you look at what's called a geologic record, is not very long. And in fact, humans, they believe, kind of came around about 4 million years ago, but we weren't humans like we are today. We were the earliest humans.
So did they go extinct because of humans?
No, I think because the environment changed, maybe the temperatures of the oceans changed, things got smaller, they didn't have enough to eat. So, just so you know, this guy, one of the bigger teeth that you will find, and to give you an idea of how big this animal was, everybody ride a bus here, or everybody has been on a school bus before, I assume, correct?
Yes.
This guy would have been about 1.5 school buses in size. So if you took 1.5 school buses and put them back to back, imagine next time you get on a school bus, you're walking into the mouth of a megalodon. And now that's obviously somebody made that picture, that's not
Is that a megalodon?
but this is about what a megalodon would have looked like. Pretty darn big.
Is it I thought it was like huge, bigger and browner.
So that's pretty big.
Yeah, bigger than human.
Yeah, that's a lot bigger. Yes.
I know. Of course,
Alright, so we're going to shift over and look at what I call my rocks. These are my fossils, these are my rocks. A lot of different ones here. Again, I like to pick up rocks when they look cool. That's pretty much how I work with things. And there are different types of rocks. So we have igneous rocks, metamorphic rocks, and sedimentary rocks. Igneous rocks are rocks that are created with regards to like volcanoes or inside the earth where it's created from magma. Everybody know what magma is?
Yeah.
It's lava, but before it gets onto the surface. Lava is magma once it hits the surface. So, this is called sodalite. And this was formed inside the earth and through weathering came back up. Awesome, thank you. Came back up to the surface of the planet, and you can find it in different places. I'm going to pass this one around. This is called Anybody want to guess how it's spelled? A-A, exactly. This is a type of lava. I actually climbed down into an extinct volcano in the country of Iceland, and I grabbed it.
You mean a dormant volcano?
Yes, well, it was extinct because it wasn't going to.
I don't know
Yep.
Yep,
It's not, so you can see it's actually very light. And there's some other pieces that are similar. This is just a little redder, so it's got probably more iron in it. Thank you. Now, there are some other cool rocks. This is, unfortunately, yes, this is called amethyst. I did not find this. I did buy this. So I'm going to start over here. I'll let you guys take a look at it. This is called smoky quartz. And this is called a dogtooth crystal. Yep, they're fairly common. This is another one of my favorites. Anybody know what that is? Question? Yes. I can say that again. What gets made out of lava? Oh, coal. Coal actually comes, oh, thank you. Coal comes from animals and vegetables in a swampy area that have fallen in and they compact over time. So coal is actually rotting material that has turned into a rock. So this is a cast, which means it's something that filled in a void. And what this is in a side of a river. Sometime a long time ago, the river had little, what are called vugs and other things, where there was just holes in the sediment, in the sand of a river. And some other sediment came down and filled in all of those, almost like plaster or something like that. And then it solidified, and then so it actually fits in on the ground. You find it like that. When I found it, it was sticking up like that. So it means that the rocks tilted so that I could find it. But I just like this because it's just kind of weird looking. All right.
What's that?
This? I'll actually pass this around. Just be a little cautious. Some of these things might be a little.
What is it?
This is what's called a concretion, where you had an original piece of rock that somehow inside of other material grew a skin around it. But the skin is rock. This is all chemical. This is, I'm not sure what that is actually. No, it's just the chemicals in the soils kind of stuck to it and grew around it. Past that. And just, I found that. I thought that was pretty neat looking. All right. We don't need to look at all these. This is another one that has different types of crystals. These are crystals called tourmaline. And this is just a piece of fragment that I picked up that was kind of neat looking. Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. Layers. This is a good example of different layers that are laid down over time. So you have different, this was a different material, then you put another material. And this is very common out there. Again, a lot of these, this is a sedimentary rock, which means layer after layer after layer, like a cake put on. This, I believe, is serpentinite. And it's just, again, a nice crystal. I'll pass that along. Do you? Neat. What else we got going on?
Jim,
Yes.
we only have 8 minutes left.
10 minutes? Okay. I will make it quick, and then we're going to do our quick thing. Geode. I like this guy. And you find geodes oftentimes like that. And you whack with a hammer, and you come up with something like that. Pass that over. Yeah. And again, they have different colors and things like that. So we're going to pull off on questions real quick so we can get to our craft thing that we're going to do. And what we're going to do today is we're going to make a megalodon tube. And you can bring it home. And it's going to look probably a little bigger than that, but something like this. And I'll show everybody how to do that. So how do you want to do? You want to just pass out a plate to the person?
Everybody make around the chart.
Okay, we have the chart.
So half the class will over here and take a seat on the floor.
Oh, thank you very much. All right, everybody just take a seat because we're going to run out of time.
Please try to keep the masks to a minimum.
Yeah, you guys are welcome to come at the end after everything is done. Yeah. So we got to put some tack right now. Yes. We'll do our thing here, then everybody can come and touch the sidewalks. So the first step is we want to make a triangle shape. So pound it or mush it down to the best you can and kind of get it into a triangle shape.
You might want to just go around.
Yes.
Okay, triangle shape.
Triangles. Get there. Push it down a little bit. Yeah. Okay, that's pretty close. Awesome. This is a great one. So people can kind of make it look a little bit like that. That's a good job there. That's exactly what we want to do.
You know?
What about kind of like a triangle? All right. So does everybody have it shaped somewhat like a triangle? Anybody needs help?
Triangle shape. Now make it more.
All right, so we've got our triangle. Now the next step is one of the ends, sort of the short end, we want to make it with a little bit of a V in it. So see how this has a V in it? So kind of push from the middle and push up that way. And make it almost look like a heart. Not quite that heart, but almost that heart. Okay, excellent. Good job there. See, we want to make it look a little bit like a heart. So I'm going to see. Yes. Yeah, that was great.
That's good.
All right, so has everybody got it looking a little bit like a heart? Yeah. For the most part? So the next step is there's two different parts of this tube. There's the enamel part, which is nice and shiny down the bottom, and then there's this upper kind of rough area. So that's why we have the popsicle sticks. You want to gently, or carefully take the popsicle stick and using it kind of like a pokey thing, kind of just make a little indentation around it so that it looks like we've got two different parts of the tube. Right? Again, so almost like a little bit of a smile, like that. Right? So is everybody kind of following me? Kind of like something like that. Perfect. That's a great job there. Yeah. Yep. And again, you can work on this either. Kind of like that. Okay, is everybody, I'm sorry, I have to bend over this area here. You guys doing okay with it? So it looks a little bit like this. See how it's got another little smile? Yeah, yeah. Good, yeah, great. And then the last thing you can do to make it look a little more realistic is it's got some little lines that come straight down from that smile line you did. So just a couple of straight lines, and you can see how this one has, they're like cracks, they're weathering cracks. Yeah, so there's a couple of straight lines. Yeah, perfect. Yep, very good, very good. Exactly like that. Okay, well, here's the key. That's excellent. Yep,
eaten half of it. I am thinking that's like
When it's all said and done, now if you want, you're all going to take these home, and if you want, you can have mom or dad or your sister or your brother help you. You can take a little bit of water on your finger and kind of smooth it over and make it a little nicer, and then it'll either, you can air dry it, or you can have one of your parents help you, and you can put it in the oven for a couple of hours at a very low heat. If that's you can also find this online as far as if you need some help. 150, 200. Yeah, it'll take a while. This will take a while to dry, so don't sweat it. Yeah, there's a little water. Okay? And you'll end up with this. I've had this for a number of years. It'll break, but it's still pretty good. All right. Any questions? Thoughts? Yeah. Yep, that looks great. Looks great. 200 degrees for a few hours. You have mom or dad help you with that. You do online discussion. Just look up making a fossil.
Making something with it.
It's not a geo, it looks like quartz. Yes. Oh, I forgot to talk about this. This is my dinosaur.
It's kind of dull.
This is what's called a cloud vertebrate. Good job, everybody.
This smells like coffee.
Maybe they're actually coffee.
Take them.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yours, take them.
TV people. Hi, I'm on TV. Hi.
All right, Walter. Okay, Walter, the police. What? Oh no, were they?